I expect to be able to deliver housing that is fit for purpose. So we need to ensure that the quality of what we build is not affected by trying to accelerate by when we hand over keys. Because although that might be a blessed relief, getting your hands on your keys might be blessed relief as soon as possible. You'll know as a homeowner, I know as a homeowner that you're in for the long haul with a property, and you need to have the quality and you need to have the design be absolutely right. So we'll be able to make announcements about exact handing over dates for keys when we make the announcement that people will be expecting during the course of the coming weeks.
Okay, staying with developments, what about the larger development of which the Hassan Centenary Terraces is a part of the Blue Water Eastside project? At the last Direct Democracy session, you said that Brexit had caused an impact on negotiations. So how are things at the moment?
Well, not much moved on from there. I mean, this is a project that's still on track, but unfortunately, the detail of it is stuck in a lot of what Brexit will mean for Gibraltar. And for that reason, we haven't been able to advance much further. Of course, it's not something that I would like to be talking to you about in these terms. I would like to have seen ground broken, as we anticipated would have been the case. But unfortunately, as one Prime Minister once said, events, dear boy, events sometimes tend to get in the way of the best laid plans.
Let's move on to a rather topical issue, in fact, making headlines in the UK, that horrific incident which we saw yesterday, the West London fire at Grenfell Tower. Obviously, questions at the moment being raised of why the fire spread so quickly, with the issue of cladding being highlighted. Your tweet yesterday, we must learn from such tragedies. So we know checks are now planned in the UK in similar buildings. Is this something perhaps that government is considering here in Gibraltar as well?
As you can imagine, well, first of all, I think we all want to associate ourselves with the pain and the loss of the people who we've seen on our television screens suffering so immensely as a result of this fire. Immediately that the reports were coming out yesterday that there was a high-rise building on fire, I mobilized my people to understand whether there was anything which was relevant to Referendum House, to Constitution House, or indeed to Beachview Terraces, which is also high-rise. We need to understand those issues. When the words cladding started to come out as something that might be relevant, I asked my team to start looking also at the cladding issues that we had in Gibraltar in respect of not just the tower blocks, but the other estates that we have reclad in the process of refurbishment, and some buildings, modern buildings, which are built with cladding these days. Just based on the news reports, we know that they used something called Rhino bold cladding in the United Kingdom. We know that we have used metal frames, not wooden frames, as appears might be the case in the United Kingdom, but that is just a news report. We don't understand whether that is the reality or not, but you can imagine that fire spreads more easily on wood than it does on metal. We know that the cladding used in the United Kingdom was aluminium composite, and the ones that is being used in Gibraltar is insulated cladding. We know that we didn't use Rhino Bold, that we've used Weber, and we know that ours is class 0 low risk. So we are understanding the differences between what was the product used in the UK and the product used here. We know that we have vertical and horizontal fire breaks installed in the cladding that we've put in, which is in keeping with the recommendations made by the manufacturers and by our City Fire Brigade. I also can tell you that as recently as the 16th, 17th and 18th of May, the City Fire Brigade were involved in reviewing the tower blocks and doing their own practices for the two tower blocks and Beachview Terraces. But perhaps what's most going to set our minds at risk, ironically, is that we've had 3 fires already in the refurbished estates with the cladding on in Gibraltar. We had 1 in Laguna Estate, and I think we've had 2 in Glacis involving the tower blocks. In both instances, we know that the cladding did not act as an accelerator of the fire. We saw that there was no movement upwards of the fire in any of those incidents.